Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Shani, and I'm the career and college instructional coach over here at Options for Youth, and we're coming to you live from the San Fernando Valley. And I love to say, just kind of giving everybody a little bit of a reference, especially for Greg, who's in New York. We're about 30 minutes, Greg, from downtown LA, where the Lakers play at the Crypto.com Arena. And thank you for being here. We are Career Explorers, LA to New York. What we're here today to do is we're here to present an amazing guest. And we have Gregorio Labrado. Am I saying that right, Greg?
It's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Greg is a senior recruiter from Meta. And I'm going to pass the mic to you in a few minutes, but Greg wanted me to just present a video, some PowerPoint slides, just to give you a little reference, and then you can walk us through it, okay? How about
Sounds
that?
great.
Awesome. So welcome, Greg. Welcome to our family here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shani, Lori, Alia, for having me and Educate University. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's the world of Greg going on?
Definitely. We'll dive more into it later, but I'll give you a brief overview. About 7 years of total recruitment experience, both tech, non-tech roles. The pictures you're looking at right here, the center one is me at Meta. That's our Meta New York office. It's where the Instagram building is too. So a lot of Instagrammable spots to encourage culture at the company as well. On the left, you have Uber. I was grateful to be at Uber before we went public. So as a recruiter to work for a company that's pre-IPO is a pretty special moment. So that was, the day we went live on the stock market. And on the right, it's Samsara. I also saw them go public. I took that picture at the stock market the day we went public, which was pretty exciting to be able to be on Wall Street and see your company that you work for go public. And here's a little bit of some snapshots of life at Meta. A lot of as you can see, the rooms are very cool. The buildings, a lot of good artwork. A lot of the artwork is actually done by local artists in the community as well. Each floor has different themes, and then the picture in the center is me and a few of my colleagues at ERG, an employee resource group. If you're ever at a company, look at those employee resource groups. This one was specifically the Black at Meta, and they had their Juneteenth day of kind of celebration, and so a lot of great events that they sponsored to increase diversity, to encourage diversity, and just increase culture. Yeah, it's obviously there's people of all ages and backgrounds who work there, but they want to create an environment that people want to go to work at, who want to have fun at work, who want to, when you're in an area where you're comfortable, there's no dress code. You can wear shorts, you can wear sweats if you really wanted to. Some people dress more professionally. They have places where you don't work at your desk. They really encourage people not to be at their desk too often. Those kind of environments encourage innovation and just like being outside the box, bouncing out, around ideas with your coworkers. It's also huge on community. And I think that's the best thing. Meta, as a company, the mission of Meta is to connect people. WhatsApp connects people, usually internationally. Instagram, you connect with your friends and celebrities, influencers, whoever it is. And in the company internally, they also have systems and buildings and environments that also want you to continue to connect with your colleagues, which I find it great that the company extends their mission beyond just the product, but internally as well.
Great. What does a recruiter do? Like, can I hire all my friends? That's what I think when I think of recruiters, right? What does a recruiter do?
Think of recruiting as matchmaking. You have your client or your hiring manager as, an individual in a partnership, and then they have these requirements. I've recruited for everything, software engineers all the way to account managers to, even janitorial staff. Once the hiring manager kind of posts a requirement, our job is to find it. Our job is to find it by any means on LinkedIn, at conferences, through applications. And then from there, we, because we are subject matter experts, we go through their application, talk on the phone with them, really connect and build rapport with these people, and then continue them throughout the process, all the way to offer extend, where we extend them the offer, go over benefits, and then get them.
A young person that's in a school or a college environment, ready to graduate as like a launch pad to find somebody or find you and connect with someone like you.
Yeah, I've attended a numerous amount of, college career fairs. I've attended them as a college student and then attended it as a recruiter, as a professional. It's exciting, when you're in college, you're in college to set up your career. And so to have to be, right in front of all these employers, to see companies like Meta, Google, Nike, Netflix, Tesla, right in front of you, kind of gives you a dream of what you could achieve. Also, these companies are hiring for early education. They have whole departments for early education, attending conferences, traveling to, universities. I have friends who are in early education recruitment, and they're really, really busy in the spring and in the fall, and that is to hire that top talent. There are interns in college who are, making $80,000 over the summer working at these companies, who have equity in these companies because they have a skill set that people want. And so it's exciting to be part of that as a recruiter. It was also very exciting to be part of that as a student, myself.
I think what brought you, to where you are today, and just kind of maybe reflecting a little bit back and connecting with us on what demystified the process for you and how you can encourage us to stay positive on our job hunts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember my first job. I remember getting my first paycheck and being like, who is taking all my money? Already not a lot of money it is, and kind of experiencing, that taste of adult life. But I think the point is to figure out, what is your why? Is it just to pay bills? Is it to take that next step, that next leap to that next opportunity that you're looking to get? So find out your why. Most of us, even me, I wouldn't work without money. We all, have bills. So that's one of my whys. But as a, 18, 17-year-old, kind of getting that first taste of adult life, in that job too, it's to try to be, I would say it's never too early to be intentional about where you work. Your time and your energy are going to be your most valuable currencies. And so try to make sure you're using that wisely. Now, not everyone has the privilege to be picky about where they work. There's definitely jobs in my past where I'm like, I would never go back there, but it did what it had to do in the moment. But now being on the other side, being as that gatekeeper, the person who does extend offers, the person who does help dreams become reality, it is discouraging when you don't get a job. I've been a candidate before. I've been laid off before, during COVID. And when you apply, you get excited. You're refreshing your email 24/7 just because you're hoping to get that email. And so that's helped me as a recruiter to be more empathetic and to make sure I don't forget that I work for a people organization. I know how it is to be a candidate. I know how it is to be a young kid who is just starting out. And so I take that empathy with me throughout my entire career as a recruiter to make sure that I don't forget that these are human beings. Before they are a software engineer, before they're an accounting professional, they're a human being with a goal, with a family, with, a whole lot of baggage, that we don't know. And so I think overall it's helped me become more human and more empathetic in my approach as a recruiter, to make sure I give that white glove experience, even if it's a bad update, that I call them and say, hey, we can't offer you this role because of whatever reason. I don't like to keep people waiting. As soon as I have an update, I give it. And that helps me as a recruiter, again, connect with people more. But as a candidate, you're going through your first job, you're 17 years old, you're trying to figure it out. Play around with it. You're so young, you have time to play around with what career. I took the job as a recruiter in LA at a staffing agency when I moved. Right after I graduated, I was making like $14 an hour in LA with a college degree. And I took it because rent was due. Rent was due in a month, and my little amount of savings was depleting. So I took it because it had benefits, it had career growth, and it was going to give me some training. It was a sales recruiting role. And after about a year, I realized that it wasn't for me. But without that job, I would have never gotten into recruiting as it is, because that job helped me figure out that I like recruiting. I like to do it internally versus at an agency where I'm not recruiting for other companies. And so sometimes it takes time to take a class and be like, ooh, actually, I don't think I want to do that major. I want to be a nurse. And then you realize, actually, I'm not good around blood. Those are things that you learn with experience. So I think that when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 28, you have time to play around. You have time to trials and tribulations. You have time to figure out what works and what doesn't. The fact of the matter is you're on your own time, not anyone else's. And, you ultimately, what it's going to take to get you to where you want to go. And sometimes you don't know where you want to go. But when you have that moment, which I had that moment where it clicked and said, actually, I know what I want to do, it's going to make that journey that much worth it. Your time and your energy are going to be your most valuable currencies. And so
major. And then what was your aha moment?
Yeah. So I study sociology, which is really the study of humans and their behaviors with society. And so, I've always been really good with people. I learned early on, even when I was back in high school, that I don't know what I want to do. I knew I didn't want to work in a cubicle setting, and I knew I wanted to work with people. Those are the two things I knew what I wanted to do. In what capacity, I wasn't quite sure yet. But after that year in LA, I moved back home to Sacramento because it's really hard to figure out what you want to do living in expensive LA. So I was like, let me not pay rent while I figure out, what I want to do. And so I moved back in with my parents. It was embarrassing. You feel like I've been gone since I was 17. I have a degree and I'm moving back with my parents. Looking back, I shouldn't have been embarrassed. I probably should have stayed a little longer to save money. But, in my head, I'm thinking like, you're 22, you have to start putting in your 401k. And that's kind of my mindset at the time. And I saw a job posting for a recruiter role. They were looking for someone with 3 years experience. I only had a year. And I just called the number on it. And they told me, after I sent my resume, that I wasn't a fit. And I said, listen, I only have a year experience, but here's what I did in a year. Here's what I accomplished. And I ended up selling the manager enough to bring me into an interview. After I interviewed on site, wowed him, and he was like, I want to hire you. Let's make this happen. And that lesson's to always advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, no one's going to advocate for yourself the way you are going to do it. So don't get discouraged. You are more than enough. Don't have that what's it called? Drawing a blank on that word, but where you feel like you don't belong, imposter syndrome. Don't have it. And that was the first lesson I learned, to advocate for yourself, because if I would have just said, okay, like I know my worth, he didn't. And if I would have just took his word for it, who knows where I would be now. And I didn't. And I ended up building out whole recruitment programs from the ground up, which has took me to where I'm at now in my career. I was there for almost 3 years, got recruited out to my first tech company in San Francisco. And without advocating for myself in that moment, I wouldn't have even had this opportunity. And it was about 3 months into that job when I was really kind of fully into it. And I was extending these offers and I was building these programs where I said, I came home, I remember driving home from work and thinking, oh crap, like I think I figured out what I want to do with my life. And it's a very relieving feeling, because you kind of go through your whole life like, okay, I'm told to go to school, I'm told to go to work, but like what else? Like this cannot just be life, like working and go to school. And knowing that, and I didn't really like the company, but I liked what I did. And when I found a company that I loved, on top of doing what I love to do, Sundays didn't feel like Sundays. I didn't have that Sunday scary anxiety that like, I got to go to work on Monday. Obviously, it would be ideal to be a billionaire or a millionaire and not have to work at all. My parents unfortunately didn't create anything or invent anything, so I have to work. But knowing that you do have to work, it's a very liberating feeling, not feeling like you're dreading waking up every day. And tying that into the actual career you do was a great feeling. And I encourage, and I want that for everybody, to be in a place where they feel themselves, they feel liberated, and they feel challenged to be a better person and be a better worker.
Do it. Like, how'd you believe in yourself? How'd you think that you could convince this guy? And you said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And, not sort of, we can easily talk ourselves out of things by not feeling that we can do it. Or how would you answer?
Yeah, from my experience, when I was at Motion Recruitment Partners in LA, again, it's a sales role where we're matchmaking candidates that come to us with companies that I reached out to and said, hey, work with me. When I place these candidates, I get paid for it. So I was recruiter of the quarter, 3 of the quarters I was there. And when I left, when I told them I'm moving, they tried, the president even got on the phone and was like, you can't leave. Like, it kind of gave me that boost of confidence. Like, I was checked out, so I was going to leave regardless. But I was like, okay, like, I do have a skill set people want and people like. And then, I'm on job, month 2 of job search at this point, and it's starting to I'm starting to stress out. Like, what's my next move? Sacramento is not as big as LA. You're not going to have a market. And so it was a combination of, listen, I have somebody on the phone right now. It's do or die. Like, this has to work. And you do have a skill set that people want. The last company was fighting for you to work there. They were trying to make it work so you can work in Sacramento and work for the company at the same time. So it was knowing my worth, knowing what I bring to the table, and then also being put in a situation where you don't know how many opportunities you're going to have with somebody on the phone. So take advantage of every single resource and opportunity that you have. And I think that kind of has been my method throughout my career and throughout my life, just both personally and professionally, is to take advantage of the moments that are in front of you right now, because they might not come again at all. Like, what if I called 10 minutes later and he was busy? You know what I mean? Like, who knows if he would call back? So I took advantage of that moment, and I wouldn't be here today without it.
Kind of like challenges, like with sort of like your emotions and how you deal with anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when one quote, and kind of going back to what you just said about comfortability and kind of those moments of uncomfortableness where you're just like, okay, what's next? What I saw a quote, and it helped me when I got a job at Uber, but I was scared to take it because it was to live in San Francisco, and it was the biggest, salary that I've ever had. But when you compare it to like San Francisco rent, I was like, oof, like, can I really do it? And someone told me, or I saw it, and it said like, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And I still have it in my notes from back in 2019. And I reflect on it regularly, when I have moments of like, should I do it? And you're never gonna know what's out there if you don't open that door. And, I live in New York, I lived in San Francisco, I lived in LA, I lived in Arizona. Those are all moments where I decided to take a leap and step out of my comfort zone to better myself and to put myself in this position where I'm in control now and I can like navigate my own career path. So that was a moment where that really helped me just kind of grow, is that like, you're not going to do it unless you do it. And also, a lot of things are temporary. Like, if I didn't like New York when I moved here, I signed a year lease. I can move back after that year. It's a year. You can do anything for a year. You can do anything for 10 minutes. Just do it. And I've never regretted once taking a leap, but I have looked back and said, ooh, I wish I would have tried that. So I have regretted not doing things. I've never regretted doing anything. And so that helps me in moments of like, I need some clarity. You know what I mean? Like, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And another thing that I was just told this not long ago, which has helped me in current times, obviously it's a emotional roller coaster working in tech at the moment, was what's for you won't miss you. So when you are presented with opportunities, when you are put in certain rooms, you are connected with certain individuals, it's for a reason. Whatever you believe, whether it's fate, karma, religion, whatever you believe in, you are there for a reason. And these moments, if they're for you, they won't miss you. And if something does miss you and you're depressed about it, your feelings are valid. It just wasn't meant for you. It was meant for somebody else. Your opportunity will come. It could be tomorrow. It could be the next day. I was laid off in 2020, May of 2020, so the beginning of the pandemic. Just signed a 16-month lease right before, living in San Francisco with now no job, no income coming in, in a time where a lot of people didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. So a lot of people weren't hiring. If I wouldn't have been laid off at Uber, what happened after that? One, doubled my salary in a year and a half, doubled my salary completely. In a position with a manager that I loved, in a company I loved even more than I loved Uber. And I remember that feeling a lot, because I remember feeling like, oh my God, my life's over. I just lost my dream job. Realizing that, hey, what's for you won't miss you. So Uber wasn't for you. But what came after that were opportunities and rooms and networking positions, where now I'm in New York working for a company I dreamed of working for since 2016. making more money than I ever had, making the most of anyone in my family. And that wouldn't have happened had it not been for that layoff. So in moments of crisis, all you have is yourself, and you got to lean into yourself because you're more powerful than you think. And you come with a skill set, and you come with, something valuable that people want. You just have to put yourself out there so people can see it.
Wanted to point out is one is your support systems, right? So I loved how you said I relied on myself to navigate these feelings, but also too, there might have been some really instrumental people that helped to keep you motivated when you were just like down and out. Who were they for you? And, we like what your net worth is, your network is that slogan, but oftentimes, what we're trying to do is, put yourself around positive mind people, you're going to get positive results. Could you speak on who those people were for you to help you navigate when you were down and trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my parents. My parents are, they both didn't go to college. Everything they built self-made. My mom, I was the fourth. My mom had me at 26, her first at 20 years old. So 4 kids in 5 years. They didn't have a lot growing up, I didn't realize it. We had everything we needed. So they know, they've always been very smart and intentional with every move they made. Never been flashy people, never been, they lived always within their means. So having someone to ground you and to also humble you was very needed in those moments. In the background I had, my grandparents in mind, all, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents immigrated from Mexico and all worked in the fields as they, fought for their citizenship and for a better life. My grandpa worked 2 jobs until I was a senior in high school. Meanwhile, I didn't even have 1 job. My grandpa's still working too. So just knowing that all the sacrifices and things they've overcome, I can overcome this. And they did that so I could be here was helpful. But professionally, the person who's made the most impact, and you guys are actually familiar with her, is my colleague, Shauna. I met her at Uber, second week. Something about her, she had Beyonce all over her computer. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be someone I'm going to like, And she has been, to this day, we talk like 4 times a week. She has been just an integral part of my career development, my personal development, as well as my mental development. She is the one that texted me last week and said, "What's for you won't miss you." And that's been like just ringing in my ear every day. She regularly sends me affirmations. I did the same to her. She helped me build my first really intense resume. She broke down, really how things work when I was just kind of first going into tech. And she's someone that, like, when I think I'm not doing enough, she's someone that's like, you're doing just fine. She's someone when I need someone to push me too and challenge me, she's someone that could do that. So I encourage everyone to find someone that's not just gonna, kiss your butt or tell you, nice things that you want to hear, but someone who's going to challenge you to be your best self, but who's also going to give you that love and that criticism and that real honest truth that you need. But find someone that's in either your industry, who has the same background as you, because they need to know the struggles that you kind of went through overall, because they're going to know how to talk to you. They're going to know how to help you get through those challenging times. And, while me and Shauna come from different backgrounds, the root of where we come from is the same. And she's been integral in just my overall just growth. And she's, her job right now is my dream job. So seeing someone in that position where you want to be is also a good position, because she's also a mentor who also has a close friend. Yeah.
Just for some of the folks that don't know, Shauna was one of our guest speakers a couple months ago, and Shauna's job title is?
She's like the manager of diversity programs at Nike.
Nike, yeah.
Before that, I met her at Uber when she was running their early education diversity programs. She also went to Meta shortly after that, running their early education diversity programs as well too. So she's always been in the space of early education, diversity, and building out programs to make tech in the world more equitable.
You speak on just the variety of jobs that a student could have in what you're doing, because I love TikTok, I love Snapchat, but I am not a technical person. I'm a people person. So what are the options for me, for someone that might have a dream to work at these companies, but I might not be tech savvy, or that's just not my jam.
I'm not tech savvy either. I am as average that you can get. I'm a very average human being. There are people out there way smarter than me, way better than me in a lot of categories. So, and I say that not to like knock on myself. Not everyone can be, valedictorian, but you don't need to have all these skill sets to get a high paying job or to work at these companies that I had the same kind of thought, like, oh, I have to graduate from Harvard or Stanford or something, really, like I have to get my doctorate or whatever it is to be at these spaces, and you don't. The reality is you need to know how to connect with people and network, and build your own personal brand. You know what I mean? So when it comes to what I've recruited on in tech, like I said, I've recruited from janitorial staff all the way to senior directors of hardware engineering, which obviously you do need, multiple degrees and that extensive work. But every company, think about a company as a machine or a car. You have your tires, you have your engine, your turning signal. Every part of a car has its function. Well, every job at a company has its function. There are people at Meta, what I hire for is program managers for our global operations team, and they connect everything: Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, connect it from a global scale. I hire people on the change delivery team. Their role is literally to build out programs and functions that to have them and then to change and implement them into the company. I hire for the learning team. They take that change and then teach people how to use these new programs and projects. I hire for the operational readiness team, and they're the ones who say, okay, we need to change. So it's a streamline of, working together to build out a program. Every company has that. You have your accounting and finance if you want to go into finance or accounting. You have your program management. You have sales, customer service, events, operations, office management, executive assistants. You have executive assistants who are working with CEOs, SVPs who are making, almost $200,000 a year, and they don't even have degrees. They're organized. They know how to connect with people. They learned how to, maximize Excel and maximize Google, G Suite, offices. And so, you don't need fancy degrees and piles of student loan debt to make a living. And that's the greatest thing about working as a recruiter at these companies, is because I touched every single thing. I know what these companies are looking for, and you do not need to be a rocket scientist to make a decent living, to buy a home, to go first class on a nice trip to Greece. You don't need, fancy degrees and, rich parents who went to, Harvard to get you there. So I'm, like I said, a regular schmegler person. Parents don't have degrees. My degree is in sociology. I was an average student. I just knew how to connect with people. I knew how to network. And that ties into one of the most important aspects I learned at a conference. Carla Davis, she's one of the first Black women on Wall Street. Now she's a motivational speaker. Her whole conference is about personal branding. We talk about, employee branding, and we obviously all know influencers, but what about your own personal brand? When you pass away, on your marker, it's going to say your name, not how much money you have in your bank account, not if you have the newest, Jordans. It's your name. What legacy and what character does that represent? And so when you talk about and you think about your career as an adult, think about personal branding and how you want to market yourself and what you do for people to take you seriously. That hit me because I was always like the funny one at work too, but I was like, you can be funny, but like people still need to take you seriously so you can get those promotions, so you can get in those rooms. You know what I mean? People have to rely on you as a leader. And so that made me kind of take that next step as a personal brand to become a leader and to become someone that people can rely on, and not just, someone who's great for culture. So personal branding is, definitely a great step to taking that next step into that career world.
What are your suggestions in terms of education, certifications? What is it that you're going to be looking at for an entry-level position and person to come in that's going to stand out for you on a resume?
Yeah. One, utilize LinkedIn. As a recruiter, I always see they have a LinkedIn first. You are
LinkedIn
never
account.
Yes, you were never too early for LinkedIn. Maximize it, get a good picture, that's professional. Showcase your education, showcase your internships. You can have people that know you, endorse you. So it's like, oh yeah, I did this, I did that. So LinkedIn for sure. In every city, there are charters, there are clubs, there are meetups where you can meet people just like you, early professionals. Obviously some have to be 18 and over and, be safe with everything, of course, but there are resources and groups you can join. And I know Meta offers it. I know LinkedIn offers it. I know Google offers it. They have free courses and certifications that you can get. I'm talking a master's in Excel. So when you're going for that first job and you're looking for an office assistant role, no years of experience needed. When you have that Excel certification that you are an Excel pro, that's going to be really useful for these people who want to hire someone who's junior, entry level, but has these certifications. So all these companies offer free certifications, IT cybersecurity certifications. I even took a few of the free ones on LinkedIn to be a certified LinkedIn recruiter. I took a free one at ADP for a certified diversity recruiter. So there's a lot of companies that offer free certifications that you can get. And I would recommend that too, because sometimes it sucks when you apply for a job and they're like, we need more experience, but how do you get more experience if I don't have experience? These are ways to get free real-time experience under your belt that you can control without having to rely on somebody else to give you a chance.
Awesome. Greg, thank you again. So we need a LinkedIn account. We need some certifications for these kiddos that don't have work experience that's going to look at as a standout feature on a resume. And that's it, Thank you so much, Greg. We have literally like 3 minutes left.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Greg.